Hello YouTube. I introduced to you my assault rifle guide / testing. These videos are going to be broken up into 3 parts. I'm going to upload them separately. Part 1 will be featuring the AKs. Part 2 will be featuring the M variant weapons. And Part 3 will be considered special weapons. So in Part 1, the weapons covered will be the AKM, AK-74, AKS-74 Kobra, and AK-74U. So let me start off the video by saying, yes, I will have human error and I will miss some shots. But what I want you to focus on in the video is the stats of the weapon, and I want you to kind of pick your preference based on the sights and the recoil of the weapon, because I know some people love the AKs, whereas some people say M16s all the way. So it's all based on your preference. Just use my footage to help you decide. Another shout out to Marcilago. He's the maker of the shooting range mission that I'm using here. I'm going to put a link in the description below. And yeah, you should check it out if you want to do some gun testing of your own. So the format for this video and the testing is going to be, first I'm going to do a fire rate test. This is where I just test the speed of the weapon. Second, I'm going to do an optimal range test. Well, the optimal range to me is like 100 to 150 meters. So that's like kind of where a lot of engagements happen that are, pretty doable with an assault rifle. Then I'm going to do the mass effective range, which is usually like 300 meters. Now I want to point out during these tests that I do the fire rate test and the optimal range test crouched. The reason why I do it crouched is because most of the time when you're shooting, you're either going to be standing or crouched, because you're shooting on the move sort of thing. You're not setting up prone to take a far range shot. So I'm going to do it crouched, that way you guys get a feel for the weapon when it's not in prone position. Then, when I do the mass effective range test, I will go prone for that. Now, I'm using these red targets because these red targets are about the same size of a crouched player. So, I wanted to do that because I felt that'd be a little bit more realistic to use. Most of your targets aren't going to be standing straight up and easy to hit. So, instead of being a prone target, instead of being a standing target, I made it a crouched target. Okay, so first up, one of my favorite weapons, the AKM. This is a 30-round magazine, fires the 7.62 by 39 mm. It has really high power. It's fires the 7.62, so you know this thing's gonna put somebody down. The 2 firing modes are semi and full, and according to the DayZ wiki, 1 shot to the body and 1 shot to the head ought to do it. But keep in mind, they're talking about zombies here. They're not talking about players. For players, that's a different story. I'd say 2 shots to the body ought to take care of a player. Now the AKM zeroes all the way to 800 meters. Although, testing it, DayZ Wiki is right, 400 meters seems to be the most prevalent. Like, you can zero for 400 and it'll hit the 400 mark. Past that, it starts to become a little inconsistent. It also has really high recoil, and the noise is really loud as well. So on to the fire rate. The fire rate of this weapon is high. And as you notice here, I'm going to crouch, as I said I would in the video, and I'm about to go hammy on it. And just hold the trigger as fast as humanly possible, put as many targets hits on the target as I can within that interval. After then, you'll see the stats and see how many hits I got. And it appears I hit it 70% of the time here. 21 hits out of 30 rounds fired. Now before I do the optimal range / target reacquisition shooting here, I wanted to make mention that I'm going to be firing 10 rounds every time I do this test, no matter what the weapon. I'm going to shoot as many times as I can, as fast as I can, with 10 rounds, while hitting the target and being quick. So I hit 10 out of 10 targets, and I was fairly quick. And I think that has to do with the sight's openness on the top, that I can kind of look down a little bit, acquire my target, then move my crosshairs back up. So this is where I do my mass effective range sort of thing. I'm doing it at 300. I'm just going to use it for all weapons, see how they perform next to each other. Here it takes me ridiculously long to get my target. You know, I'm bouncing my mouse around, you know, left to right, a little bit there. And, you know, it just took me forever to get on target. So, it just kind of shows you that it's hard to hit targets at 300 meters with this sight. But I hit 4 out of 5, so that's still pretty good. Alright, next gun up is the AK-74. AK-74 is a 30 round magazine. It fires the 5.45 by 39 mm round. This, I want you to take note here, is smaller than the usual 5.56 that the M variants use. In any case, the power is moderate. The fire modes are semi and full. It takes 2 shots to the body and 1 to the head to kill a zombie. I'm going to say anywhere between 2 to 4 shots in the body to kill a player. The max effective range is 300 meters. Recoil and noise are moderate, and it doesn't have any zeroing. I hit 93% of the time with 28 hits and 2 misses out of 30 rounds. Next up is the optimal range / target reacquisition. Keep in mind here, I could zoom in more with the footage like on Sony, but I don't because I want you all to see what I'm seeing when I'm firing the weapon, and that way you'll kind of see how the sights look when I'm hitting the target at 150 meters. So I end up hitting 9 out of my 10 targets. Not too bad. Alright, so I go prone and I start trying to take my shots at a 300 meter target, which is the max effective range of this weapon. This is another one of those stally moments I have. I want to point out that in the max effective range, I want to shoot 5 rounds downrange. Just the format I'm using. So I hit 5 out of 5 targets. Pretty good. Next up is the AKS-74 Kobra. It's pretty much an AK-74, but has a nice little holographic chevron for the sights. It fires the 5.45 by 39 mm, just like the AK-74. 30 round magazine. Power is moderate. Everything's the same pretty much as it would be with the AK-74. It's just this has a nice hollow chevron on top of it. Alright, so I'm going to bring us into the footage. Now I want you to just really take note between the accuracy when aiming down the iron sight of the AK-74 and the accuracy when aiming down the sights of the AK-74 Kobra chevron. So I hit 96% of the time with 29 out of the 30 bullets finding their mark. So I want to take a moment here to talk about a very common mistake when using the holographic sight, that a lot of people try to aim this weapon using the little dot in the holographic sight. You're not supposed to use that. You're supposed to use the chevron only, and I know it's kind of confusing why the dot's even there, but use the tippy top of that chevron. That is zeroed out for 300 meters, so just use that, don't use the dot. I mean, the dot will work if your target's like 50 meters in front of you, but use the chevron. So I hit 9 out of my 10 targets. So a good thing to notice here is that aiming on the sights of this chevron is fine and dandy, 200 meters or less, but when you're hitting a target at 300 meters, it makes it hard to figure out where to aim with it, because you know the chevron's kind of thick at the top when aiming at a 300 meter target. Alright, and last up we have the AKS-74U. This is the third round magazine, fires the same rounds as the AK-74. The big difference here is this effective range is now set to 200 meters. It says the fire modes are unknown, but they're actually still the same as semi and full. Another one of the things is the iron sights. They're a little bit thicker than, say, the usual AK-74 iron sights. So I hit my target 93% of the time. 28 rounds out of the 30 found its mark. So I hit 9 out of my 10 targets. So this is where those thicker iron sights are going to be making it a little bit more difficult to hit my target. So bear in mind that this is max effective range of 200 meters, but regardless of what the wiki says, I'm still able to hit my target that's 300 meters out. And I hit my target 4 out of the 5 times. Well, that's it. I thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or suggestions or anything like that, leave them in the comments below. I hope this gives you a little insight about some AKs. I mean, granted, yes, I'm not going really in depth in the weapon, but you know, I'm just kind of covering it and its effectiveness. I want you guys, the players, to make up for yourselves what gun is best. Don't go on my opinions. So that's a wrap on part 1. I'm gonna be working on part 2 and 3 very soon here. I want to hold off a little bit to see if you guys have any suggestions or if you felt that format was good. Alright, other than that, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 that'll be covering the goodie weapons. Yeah, you know, the goodies.